You have just been invaded by...
Hey there guys, this is DJ Slope from Slope's Game Room and you're listening to SLOPESCAST, the retro gaming news show recorded live on Twitch with my co-host Grizzly Crichton. If you like the podcast and you want to be in a chance to be on a future episode, then please do consider becoming a Patreon or YouTube member. And if you have any particular news stories that you would like us to cover in a future episode, then please do let us know in the dedicated rooms over on Discord. Plus, if you are listening to the podcast on any of the many podcast services around the world, then please do give us a little review. It really does help us spread our wings and get into the earlobes of plenty of other podcast goers. Anyway, enough of the plugs. Let's get on with the show.
You have just been invaded by...
Welcome everybody to SLOPESCAST. What's going on? Grizzly, how you doing, mate? That was such a bad intro.
All good.
That was such a bad intro. It doesn't matter. We're not going to edit this. We're just going to get into it. We've got a lot that's going on this week. What's going on, Grizzly? Why don't you explain the 6 topics we're going to be chatting about today, mate? Go on, you go for it. You got a massive grin because I know what's coming up. I know what's going on. Go on, man. You can do it.
Right, okay. So, in the first topic, we talk about the new hit anime coming from Japan and coming to Crunchyroll or Adult Swim in Shenmue. Mm-hmm. And then we say, hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, yeah.
I said, hey. What's going on?
With
yes.
That new Resident Evil trailer.
Yes,
Jeez.
Yes. You did it. You did it. You did it.
Everyone.
Before we carry on, everyone, massive round of applause to Grizzly for doing that. He was nervous, but he got it done. He knew what was going on.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that view counter to drop.
Yes.
And then we talk about an always controversial, but always a welcome topic on SLOPESCAST. We talk about the Amico and their recent reveal of physical games.
I don't want to pre-predict anything, but I do feel like that's going to be a pretty beefy topic for this week. Absolutely, absolutely.
I see.
Yes. Carry on, carry on.
We look at... So... The Xbox is now a ripe old age of 20. So we talk about the Xbox favourite moments and recent news. Because I know that we do kind of rag on the Xbox ever so slightly here at the SLOPESCAST, or we have done in the past. But, you know, it's still very much part of the gaming landscape, and we do sort of love it still, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've got some great memories of it. Memories of it, yeah.
Something we don't have as great memories about, we talk about the NGage and the fact that there's a new prototype that's been discovered and has wormed its way into someone's collection. Yeah, I feel sorry for him in a way. And then we have a look at, this is a clutch topic thanks to Griffin of Mites, who is a regular over here on Discord. And that is a secret Sega Saturn emulator, which has been found in Cotton Saturn Tribute for the Nintendo Switch.
Absolutely, yeah. Some pretty interesting stuff. And I'm going to say that the Cotton Sega Saturn emulator, that's going to be our Sega topic of the week. Because we've always got to chat about Sega weekly. It's kind of one of my... It's in the contract. We've got to do it. We've got to do it.
Yeah, and the Shenmue's not quite there anymore, so...
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, I suppose you've got a bit of Shenmue. Oh, that relates. Yeah, I'm going to say that's 2 topics.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
We're
up on our Sega quota for this week.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. We always need to be chatting about Sega because I am a fanboy. So let's start off with me slowing down the video footage of the teaser for Shenmue, the anime that's coming. Because I don't want to get flagged for people that are watching this live. But yes, Shenmue is coming in anime form as a little joint collaboration between Crunchyroll and Adult Swim. This kind of came out of nowhere, but at the same time, considering there is so many animes out there of classic Sega properties like your Virtua Fighters and what have you, like I'm kind of surprised this hasn't happened already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you excited for this?
Yeah, I'm interested. I mean, I got a bit of a past with Shenmue. I absolutely love what that series represents. I mean, the general leap forward in the game gaming landscape is absolutely brilliant. But I think it's fair to say that as it's aged over the years, it's becoming a little bit harder to go back and play. Even Shenmue 3, which it's very much old school in that regard. In reality, I just want to go back and experience the story again. So
Yeah.
I believe that an anime will actually do a lot of the work for me, and I'll be interested to see whether this continues that Shenmue story, because one of the things that isn't really mentioned an awful lot is that Shenmue 1, 2, and 3 are just 3 parts of like a 13-part story.
I don't think it was ever going to get to 13. I think it eventually came to the fact there'd be 5 parts to complete it, or something to that effect. I think like Shenmue 1 is a few of the parts put together, and then Shenmue 2 is a few, and I think Shenmue 3 is actually the least amount. But like there's only going to ever be 5 or 6. I mean, I'm sure there's some hardcore Adam Koralik-esque Shenmue nuts out there that will definitely correct me. I'm a fan from a retrospective point of view. I honestly haven't played them in the longest time, but I still... it's important to the to Sega history, so obviously, I'm excited for this. But the same as you, Shenmue 1, 2, and 3 are only part of the story. Is this going to just continue retelling 1, 2, and 3, or are we actually going to finally find out what's going on? So,
this is going to be a theme today. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but we will stop at some point. We just got to pray.
Yeah. I love it.
But no, I think this looks cool. Adult Swim has been known for like some seriously good content recently.
Yeah. As
is Crunchyroll. They don't have much in the way of originals as far as I'm aware, and it's not really a service I subscribe to. But what I really like about this, if anyone's familiar with the Toonami Cartoon Network block, so whether they've like watched it on Adult Swim or they watched it back in the 90s when Dragon Ball Z was first introduced to the UK, as well as Sailor Moon and in the US and the likes, it was generally one of those like things that was quite formative for most anime tastes, I believe, in the West. So this actually gives me hope that this will make more people fans of the Shenmue story, and I believe that's nothing but a good thing, really.
Nothing but a good thing. There you go. That's one of our other popular sayings that we always say. But no, I'm in the same boat now. There's no beating around the bush of the fact that I often say I'm not a fan of animes. So I'm kind of going against my own interest for this, but I am interested in watching this for all of those, constant gazing into the sunset. Where I go, when they should be fighting, or in the lead up to a fight, and then going to speak to someone and then reeling off prophecies of whatever else. I will just continue on with the story, will you?
Oh my God, he's using his Ryo Hazayuki technique.
Yeah, all of that just really slows down anime. I know that's why people love anime, but for me, it's I find that stuff really, really boring. I'm very westernized in that sense. I want the action, I want the bass drop in my music, that sort of thing, and that's normally why I tend to move away from anime. Even like very popular ones like your Attack on Titans, it's great.
Yeah.
But there's parts of it. I remember there were certain parts of the episode where she'd be running in with the sword. She'd have a flash, to go and smash up some massive, giant, naked men, whatever they are in that Attack on Titan. And then for the majority of the rest of the episode was her having a flashback. And then near the end of the episode, it cut back to her running towards. I'm like, my God, will you just get it done? And I remember it just freaked me. It annoyed me so much that I ended up just not continuing on with that show. Now, being someone that's played through Shenmue 1, 2, and some of 3, the whole game is you going up to people and talking and coming back. So I'm actually, for once, interested in that type of anime storyline where there's a lot of dragged out story and everything else, because that's kind of how the game plays. So I think this 100% works. And from someone that's not interested in that sort of thing, I'm very interested in this. And also, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Everyone knows what us YouTubers are like. But I actually got approached by someone asking me if I wanted to do a Crunchyroll sponsorship. And I was like, look, I do, but I don't really know how I can promote it when I shout out about how much I don't like anime. They're like, well, have a look, see if there's something in there that you like. And now there's something in there that I like. So, hey, Crunchyroll, send your sponsorships to me. I'm down.
I'm very much like you, Dan, with when it comes to anime. I wouldn't call myself like an anime fan. However, I do watch quite a bit of the stuff that goes on Netflix. You know, the Toonami block, as I said before.
Yep.
There's a lot of great stuff out there. You mentioned Attack on Titan. I was a big fan of that. I really like the imagery and what have you.
Oh, yeah.
There's some great older anime, such as like Perfect Blue, which is just a brilliant movie. Akira, of course. And then you've got the newer stuff like Parasite the Maxim, which is just incredibly dark stuff. But I don't know. Maybe that speaks to my edgelord self. You know, I just like watching some of the grim stuff. But you know, there's definitely anime out there that's worth watching, and I'm hoping this just joins those ranks.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like if you ask someone, if someone said, "Oh, I'm into action films," I watch Rambo and Die Hard, like the most obvious stuff. I'm very much like that with anime. Like, I like anime, but I only really the anime that I like is very much the obvious stuff, like your Akira's and your Ninja Scroll and your Afro Samurais, and you know, like the Attack on Titan, like the most low hanging fruit. Basic stuff. So for me, I mean, for me to say that I'm interested in an anime goes to show that this is definitely going to be getting in. I mean, it's good. It's going to be getting in some outsiders like me. You know, I mean, that's nothing but a good thing, surely.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
So yeah, thumbs up. Now, Grizzly, I've got a question for you, mate.
I'm not doing it.
You're not doing it again.
I'm not doing it again.
Right, we're going to put this on slow-mo as well, just because obviously I don't want to get flagged. But yeah, there's been a new Resident Evil trailer dropped for the reboot of Resident Evil. Now, let's turn the volume down. So I went and saw the old school Resident Evil, the first Resident Evil movie with, is it Michelle Rodriguez? It is Michelle Rodriguez, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like her.
Well, you went to go... Oh, that's a nice date.
Yeah. No. Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. I've got a bit of a thing for Michelle Rodriguez. And unfortunately, she's not in this new remake. But, you know, honestly, you go back and watch those Resident Evil movies, they're not that great, in my opinion. This, however, does look pretty good. I'm actually excited for this. This looks like a film version of the video games, which is kind of all I really want. It's the reason why the original Mortal Kombat movie is probably one of the greatest video game adaptations ever made, because it's so stupid, over the top, and look, we're doing Mortal Kombat, is the reason why so many people like it. And from what I'm getting from this trailer is they're kind of copying that. Seriousness and stupidity all mixed into one. That's kind of what I want from a Resident Evil movie. It looks good, I think, personally. I know there's a lot of jokes with the music selection found in the actual trailer.
So if you haven't guessed by now, the song "What's Up" by Four Non Blondes is used in this trailer.
Yeah.
And when you consider we're, you know, especially people at home, I feel so sorry for them right now because they're just like, what is Grizz doing? Yeah. So. We're seeing a lot of scenes of death, destruction, zombies, monsters, lickers, all of that kind of thing going on. And then you have, you know, the Four Non-Blondes.
And someone has just pointed out, give it a shout out to, is it Michael Towns? The thumbnail for this podcast has 3 non-blondes. Not quite 4. There's 3 non-blondes. But carry on. Very good, very well done. Carry on.
That was not intentional. How dare you? Like, oh no, that's.
You're annoyed you didn't add one more now, aren't you?
Yeah, I am annoyed now.
Get a picture of Tommy in there or something.
You know, yeah, but yeah, the visuals look okay. I'm not sure about some of the casting choices. I mean, Leon does not look like Leon. But yeah, I can see what they're going to go for here. It's got a bit of a sci-fi channel movie effect to it, where it's all kind of like, you know, fake dirty kind of thing going on. I'm hoping that they capture a lot of the story beats and they actually do it some justice, unlike the original films.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this goes. I'm also curious to see if they do another trailer with another '90s song, and whether that's going to be nearly as jarring as Four Non-Blondes.
I don't know if it started with horror movie trailers, or I don't know. Again, I don't know if this is a worldwide thing or Christmas trailers, because the John Lewis Christmas trailers always take some popular poppy sort of track and then do a really slow piano rendition. And it's always a big thing every Christmas. What are they going to do? You know, like whatever track they choose. And it started to happen with horror movie trailers. It's been doing that for the last few years. And hey, now we've got Four Non-Blondes. I think like they're running out of the most obvious ones to make really slow renditions of these really powerful slow renditions of these classic pop tunes from the 70s, 80s. People know, can kind of sing along to, and and they kind of somehow relate to the actual movie and got like, hey, what's going on with everyone turning into zombies and whatever. So it kind of works. I quite like they've gone with it, but it does prove the fact that they are really running low on what random poppy track can we use and slow down next. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of when Donnie Darko came out, and you had Gary Jules doing that really sullen cover of Mad World.
Yes.
And ever since then, we keep getting these like really breathy covers, slow versions of normally quite upbeat songs, and it really gives you the impression that something's not quite right. And then it's going to have that boom sound effect in the background every other beat.
Luke says he wants a slow version of "I Touch Myself."
When I think about you, I boom boom boom.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have a question in the chat for the rest of the podcast. I would love to hear, because we spoke about this last week on Slope Stream, which happens every Thursday. Everyone should tune in and give it some support.
Yes.
We talked about it before. We had a great old time just in the chat talking about what other songs would be appropriate. And I set a few boundaries. So the game is set in 1998, September 30th, which is really weird because Four Non-Blondes came out in 1993. But yeah, you know, we're not gonna.
Yeah, they're not doing it for that, are they?
No, they're not. There's got to be something else going on.
I mean, I always found it weird. Like, I do know what you mean, though. It can annoy you, that sort of thing. Yeah. I remember when Tarantino always does the very best soundtracks for his movies. They're always at that sort of hillbilly rock sort of sound, and you know, like the greatest soundtracks to own, because you just chuck them on. They've got some fantastic music, and every time you hear, you know, "Stuck in the Middle with You," now you can imagine a guy's ear being chopped off with a razor. But then when Inglourious Bastards came out, and they had what was it? They had David Bowie, and I'm like, this is strange. So set, back in the World War, and you've got a David Bowie song playing in that one really epic scene of the movie. So yeah, you've got to try and distance yourself from the fact that, wow, that's an 80s icon doing music for a World War movie. It's a strange one, but I do understand. I do understand what you mean.
Yeah. So all I'm asking is people in the chat, whether you're listening live or whether you're watching on Extra Slopes after the fact, let us know what song you would have picked.
And let us know as well about the actors and actresses in this in this trailer. I mean, who would you have chosen? I do understand the issue of, hang on, that's not really who they should have gone with. Another example of that is Tom Holland as Nathan Drake. That's such a weird casting choice, in my opinion.
That's coming out soon as well.
That's got to be happening soon,
January,
isn't it? Yeah, and I mean, Tom Holland, fantastic actor, best person to ever pull off Spider-Man. So, you know, definitely. But he shouldn't be Nathan Drake. Well, I want what's the guy's name who plays? I'm drawing a blank. The guy who plays 300, the main. This is Sparta. You know,
Gerard Butler.
That's Nathan Drake. Like back then, he's a bit of a chubster now. Nothing against him. He could probably still take me. But you know, I want like that big built sort of guy. Not to the extreme that was like Sylvester Stallone or Arnie back in the day, but a bit more. He needs a bit more beef than
that's
an early 20-year-old. Good-looking Tom Holland that kind of looks like a young Wolf of Wall Street character more than a beefy Indiana Jones ripoff.
Yeah, that's the best thing I can use the word I could use to describe Tom Holland as Nathan Drake is that Nathan Drake was supposed to represent the everyman, and he's like an everyman with a sense of adventure. Tom Holland is just a bit too pretty for that role.
Yeah. He's too pretty. He's too young. He doesn't suit that character, in my opinion. He's probably going to do good. You just got to try and detract yourself from the Uncharted games. But I'm more into that than I am with Resident Evil. So I mean, I can understand where other people would take it.
Could have done it?
What, Nathan Drake or?
Yeah, Nathan Drake.
Yeah, go on.
Paul Rudd, guy who played Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Although he's getting on a bit.
He's a bit too skinny though, isn't he? I would have thought.
He could have beefed up.
Oh yeah, that's what he could have beefed up. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt could maybe do it. He's a good-looking big guy. He's in every other film. He's got
bigger video game character roles to, do.
Why? Why couldn't he have just done Nathan Drake instead?
It's a me.
All right, upsets me.
But yeah, there's a Resident Evil movie coming out, and it's got a song in it, and it's weird, and yeah.
Now we know what's going on.
Right, and we're going to try and stop now.
Yeah. Because we're getting into beefy topic number 3. Oh, boy. So, just turn the volume down. Right, so it was finally revealed on the 10th of this month, so 2 days ago, when Tommy Tallarico, the CEO, president, and John Alvarado, who is he just flashed up there, the senior technical director, both showed off what the physical, quotation marks, games will look like for the upcoming Amico. Now, there is no cartridge slot or like sort of SD slidey thing that they could have really done anything with here. So everyone knew that this was going to be the case for the longest time, but like, how was it going to go ahead? Well, it was finally revealed. And so for people that are listening and not watching, I'm hoping you guys know what the Amico is already, but this upcoming system that's headed up by, it's an Intellivision system headed up by Tommy Tallarico, who bought out the company, and he's now releasing a console. He's got a load of his old gang back together from the early days of the Mega Drive era, and his shiny crew are back together making a new Earthworm Jim and revamping new versions of old classic Intellivision games, blah, blah, blah. But the interesting thing about this new system is these new physical games, or the latest new interesting thing is these physical games, and they're not physical. Now, this is very, very interesting. I'm going to talk about my opinion on this in one moment, but basically what you're looking at is a sort of open case. You've got a little credit card looking thing in there, and that is the game. It's no way, you can't slide it in like a Sega My Card or anything like that. It has an RFID chip in it. Please tell me if I'm going wrong with any of this, Grizzly. But you tap it on top of your console.
Yeah, it's an NFC tag, yeah.
Yeah, you tap it on.
Amiibo.
That's it. You tap it on top of your console. It will download the game. So basically, what you're doing, you're just activating a download, and then it is on your console. You won't need to re-download every time you use it. Obviously, it's already downloaded onto your console, and that's kind of it. Now, that alone is the same, no different than when you go to Game or I'm sure GameStop or wherever it is, but depending on what your shop is like around the world. And I remember seeing stuff like Ori and the Blind Forest. Like, you get a little credit card for before there was a physical of that game, or Cuphead and stuff like that. You take that home, you scratch off the code that's on the back, you type it in, and you download it. This is different in the sense where, if you had an Amico, which actually you would have, we're actually both getting Amicos. I've got one on pre-order, and I believe you have too. I can come over with my card, tap it onto your system, and now it downloads onto your system, and you play it. But when I go back to mine and tap it back on mine, it's no longer on your system if you're connected online. Now, my guess is if you're not connected online, you can keep playing that game until you connect back online and go, and then the Amico says, hey, that game belonged to Slope. You know, you're not playing that anymore. So it's kind of a way of moving around your digital download. And that's quite interesting. It's done as an NFT. It means that you're technically connected onto the blockchain. And before we get into this a bit more, the actual the little housing that it comes in. It comes with a lenticular card. So for us in the UK, we used to get that quite a lot on breakfast cereals back in the 90s, where you'd have like one of those cards, and depending on where you look at it, it makes the image slightly move. It's like a little collectible piece. And it also comes with a little like mini collectible coin as well. So yeah, that is everything regarding this. They're about £10 to download the games if you were just to download them, but if you wanted to get this weird like card NFT, move it around, sell it later on if you really wanted to, then yeah, it's essentially double the price. I think that's around about the £20 mark these are going for. And yeah, that's that. Oh, actually, I suppose the one last thing that's interesting about all this actually is the fact that you can go and buy all of these right now, the first 8 games, for a system that still doesn't technically have an official release date yet. You can buy 8 games for a system you don't know when it's coming out. You have a rough idea later the year, maybe early next year, but you can go buy the games for it now. So many crazy right turns and twists to this whole launch of the Amico. It's strange. I've never experienced anything like this. Give me your opinions on this. Give me your opinions. And I know Smash JT, who's an investor into Intellivision, and he's been following this crazily even before then. So he's in the chat, and he's telling me that what I'm saying is right. Yes, you can keep it until it's back online. P. Ferreira says he's here before the haters see. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, okay, we've got that all right so far. So yeah, sorry, Grizzly, go ahead. What do you think about this, mate?
Yeah, so there's a lot to digest here.
Majorly,
like there's a lot of good things I will say, and just the very act of me saying that there are good things is going to spur some sort of controversy. But I'm also very aware of some concerns. So, but let's talk about this top to bottom, just slightly more detail. So the physical box includes like a lenticular sleeve, which is really nice. I like that. It's got a little collector's coin. I like that too. And then we talk about the NFC tags, which is basically an amiibo that contains a code for a game. And I'm assuming that just like any download code that you get, this will be unique to the single buyer, and therefore it can exist as a unique item on the NFT blockchain. There's a part in Tommy's video, and I really don't want to just like nitpick, but there's a part in Tommy's video where I feel like there was a bit of a dichotomy, or just like this contradiction. He mentions how these cards are made out of this beautiful recyclable cardboard, and it has a real nice ecological message, and then suddenly he goes and talks about the blockchain, and I'm just wondering what the intention is here. Because NFTs, as far as I'm aware, and apologies if I'm wrong, I have a very external opinion on things like NFTs and cryptocurrencies and what have you. The blockchain, as far as I'm aware, requires a ton of electricity and resources, planetary resources, to be able to generate these, these tokens, these non-fungible tokens. By adding these to the blockchain, is that not contributing to more carbon footprint as a result? And I don't know. Is it something I technically cared so much about? That because I've got a physical games collection, but maybe not. But it is something that just strikes me as odd.
It's really, it's that's an interesting point about the ecological message here. Now, for people out there that don't know, I've actually so I recently announced that I've got these coming, and I have the ability to be able to speak to Tommy about this, and I'm going to be doing a video. And as soon as I put that message out there on socials, and I did a little 60 minutes short on my second channel, God, did I get blasted from both sides, because I wasn't positive, I wasn't critical. I was like, what do you guys think about this? Instantly, I was a shill, and instantly, I was a hater at the same time. So it was like, there's no winning formula here at all. And who's raiding me? Let's have a look. Sorry. Big Noobs is raiding me. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. To the 17 people here, we're chatting about the Amico. We'll carry on here. But yeah, what I will say straight away is Tommy didn't reach out to me. I have actually never spoken to Tommy before 2 days ago. We've exchanged messages together in the comments of previous videos. Like I've done videos about games that he's been a part of, so Earthworm Jim, and I know he commented on my what was the video, the MDK video. Obviously, you know, those shiny days, and he did the soundtrack to that. But besides that, we've never actually spoken before. I thought, you know what, I'm going to reach out to him and say, look, can you send me these? Because I would love to do an unboxing. You know, like, I'm a YouTuber. I want to be one of the first people to do an unboxing for obvious reasons. But I also find this whole thing just so fascinating. I am a backer. Of this on the, let me think about this, I think it was the second round of crowdfunding he did. It's Fig. I mean, his second or his third round of crowdfunding. And technically, I suppose you could look at this as the fourth round, because you're paying for something, and that money's definitely going to go towards the Amico that he's currently crowdfunding for, surely. Yeah. Yeah, so I asked him, and he said yes. He'll get it sorted out. He gave me some contact details. I reached out to different people in the company, and they said yes. He said, I'll send you over a couple of the games, and then I got a notification pop up that said all eight are coming, and that's it. He also said that hey, got any questions? Ask me directly. And I was like, excellent. You know what? I'm going to turn this into a really cool way that I can do the video. I'm not shilling. He's not paying me anything. The way I plan to do this, and I haven't announced this properly yet, but I think this is a really cool, unbiased way to show these off, is there's a lot of Americans talking about it. We've got Smash JT in the chat here. We've got people like John Riggs, actually has already done a reveal of all this. You've got obviously Pat the NES Punk and all these other people, but they're all the American side. But television has got more of a name over there. In the UK, it's practically unheard of. I mean, I had to look up.
It's certainly not that big.
Yeah, I had to look up before this went live to see if this was even, if the Intellivision was ever released here, officially released here. And yes, it came out in 1981. But everyone you ever talk to, people that know what Atari is, a bit of a fading memory. People know what Atari is, obviously Sega, Nintendo, and the classic days of gaming. But almost nobody, unless you're into retro gaming, and you have to be a little bit further than just I played on the Sega back in the day, or even the home computer scene of the Amstrads and stuff like that. Most people don't know what Intellivision is in the UK. So what I've decided to do is do the best unboxing I can do, like what you're seeing on the screen, like these sort of sizzle reels, really close-ups of the games. I want to do that. I want to make like the best looking unboxing I can do. But whilst I give my opinion on what I think about all of this, I'm actually reached out to quite a few UK YouTubers and said, hey, watch this video. It's the one that's looping now, this little 4-minute video, and give me a 1 or 2 minute opinion on what you think about this, good or bad, and I will play your audio in the channel, on the video, and, you know, I'll tell people to go subscribe to you, blah, blah, blah. But it would be a good way to get an overall opinion from a lot of the UK scene about this. And you know, Tommy, it's insane that we live in a world where the head of the company is going to watch that video. People know he's going to watch. So it's not just for people that are interested in the whole the growth of this Amico, the upcoming launch of this Amico, but it's actually good for the Amico team to be able to see what the UK people think about all this. Let's just drop some names here. I have got I've got Daz and Greg from Did You Know Gaming. They've already provided some opinions on this. Control Alt Reese is actually in the chat. So go and subscribe to him. Great channel. Retro Gamer Boy is another UK YouTuber. He's definitely an upcoming UK YouTuber. Really, really good one. He's got a history in video game development, works for some big companies, and he's a massive collector of video games, primarily the Mega Drive era. So I thought he would be great to get his opinion on it all. We've got Grizzly. You're going to be sending in some audio for this as well once I've got it done.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we got RMC, formerly Retro Man Cave, Goldfish on Games, who also works for a huge video game company, but also has his own channel, a big collector of the home computer scene, things like the Amiga and stuff like that. We've got, actually I haven't had them confirm yet. We've had Ashins, has said he's going to be a part of it. Larry Mundy Jr., the Retro Hour podcast. On a Retro Tip has already sent his stuff over, and hopefully Nostalgia Nerd too. I might even have a few more people. I just think this would be a great way of me showing off as a cool unboxing. Look, this is what they're doing, and this is what we all think. Completely unbiased, completely unsponsored, all that sort of thing. And from what I've heard already, I've had some positives and negatives together, and that way it'll be a great way for the comment section to take all of these different opinions and just, you know, there we go. It'll be as simple as that. Some people that I've mentioned there were just so confused about this, and it's the first time they heard of it. But that in itself just shows how well they're promoting this thing and how well they're getting the message out. So I think the whole thing is just going to be a great way of getting that opinion, and I think this is the best way I can do it, and also differentiate myself from everybody else that's going to obviously grab these and unbox them as quick as they can. So yeah, there you go.
Definitely. So just the general approach here, I feel like it's almost like it has to be this way. Do you get that impression? Because when you're talking about
it has to be this way, considering what the console has become. If they had gone down an approach where you could actually add physical stuff from the beginning, then no, it didn't have to be this way. But where it's at now, this is the best they could do with what they've got. Yeah.
So in the comments over on YouTube, I had just read out like a really, really good one from Pete Ferreira, long-term friend of the channel.
Yeah.
Always good to see him around. It's a difficult position to be in where Tommy has to appeal to hardcore retro gamers, but also modern casual gamers. And I feel like he's hit the nail on the head there. The reason for that is that the whole idea of the Amico from the start was to be a family console with family-friendly titles. But now now I can imagine that Tommy's looked at this and gone, hang on, well, we've got this all of these eyes from the retro gaming community who are looking at this and just thinking, well, either they're for it or they're very against it, and they're vocal either way they look at it. And the way I see it is that they wanted to create this digital console, which is fair enough, really, because in the modern gaming world, a family console being digital only would be absolutely fine. But then they saw that there's a desire for physical content as well.
Yeah.
And NFTs, your typical like Peter and Deborah from Ipswich or whoever, they're not going to go into a shop and think, oh, I could earn some money from this, playing the blockchain market as well as the game on Amico. They're not going to think about that. This is clearly Tommy's way of reaching out to the retro gaming community and the people who do appreciate physical games. I mean, when you're creating a console, you know, unless you're like the likes of Blaze or, you know, a big company like Nintendo, you're not really thinking about cartridge-based media. You're not thinking about CD-based media. You're barely even thinking about USB flash cards because they can easily be pirated, and I'm going to get onto that in a sec. So I feel like this is the only way it could have worked for Amico, and that this was just Tommy's way. Whether it's right or wrong, people make their own decisions. But I feel like this is the only way he could have done it, and at least he's tried to bring you into the fold.
Yeah.
Retro gamers, that is.
It's so strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Before I get into this, a lot of people, you know, think that I'm a shill and all this other stuff because I am actually excited for this. In my previous episode of Kick Scammer News, I said that, come on, if there's many more delays, I'm going to start getting annoyed. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of reasons why I backed this in the first place. Before I ever spoke to Tommy and everything else, is because this system definitely appeals directly to me. Now, I don't know if I'm way too niche to ever make this a full-on success of a system, but I mean, downstairs in my living room, there is literally only one console connected to my television because, I mean, behind me I've got the PlayStation 5 and what have you so I can play games on my nice screen in front of me. But downstairs on the big telly in the living room, the only system I have set up is Wii U. And that's because when I have my friends over and I've got kids, I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and we still like to play things like Nintendo Land and stuff like that. It's like the perfect system. And this system looks like a kind of Wii U. And I know that's not the greatest comparison because the Wii U was definitely a failure by Nintendo standards, but I want more systems like that, as well as my massive PlayStation 5 beefy AAA system. I mean, behind me, I've just set up this new massive unit here. I picked up this unit from Facebook Marketplace and filled it up, and there's over 150 Switch games on that. And the majority, well, not the majority, but a big chunk of those games are the most basic looking games, like little indie games like Aqua Kitty and things like that. And those are the sort of games that I just get completely consumed in. And even though these games look basic, like people saying they're smartphone games or flash games, I'm not buying this system to play Uncharted 5. I'm buying this system to play games like Aqua Kitty and Moon Patrol. That sort of thing is that's what I want to play on this system. That's the exact type of games I want to play. On top of that, the people actually running this company, I mean, there's obviously Tommy Tallarico, but on top of that, he's got people like David Perry, who worked on, like, obviously, like the old Earthworm Jims, MDK and stuff like that. So the fact that he's bringing him in to make a new Earthworm Jim game as well. They got the guys, some of the original team, I think, that are working on Echo the Dolphin, or a new Echo the Dolphin. It's not going to be called Echo, it's like a spiritual successor. That guy that's on the screen, again, John Alvarado, I might be getting his name wrong.
I think you got that.
Yeah, he's someone that worked with back in the day on things like the Terminator and Wild 9. I think even like the old the Intellivision version of Centipede. All of these people. Oh, and also you've got the Bit Trip Runner guys. One of my favorite indie games from, like, when I really started finding out a lot more about indie games on, like, the Wii era and stuff like that. The Bit Trip Beat games. Absolutely adore those games. They're working on a new Breakout type game like that. Like, I would buy that in a heartbeat on any system it comes out on. Like, I'm very, very excited for everything I just said. All of that sort of stuff makes me want to buy this system. Like, I know it's probably too expensive for what it's actually offering. It's annoying that we don't have proper physical cartridges. There's definitely things that I would do differently, but hey, I'm not the CEO of Intellivision. You know what I mean? Yeah. In regards to these physical, I keep saying physical, we do understand these are not physical cartridges that you can put in your system, but we're just explaining it like that. This is kind of, I'm worried to say ingenious because people will call me a shill, but it is really quite ingenious. I'm going to say it. It's quite ingenious. Like, when I download a game for my 360 or any system on the marketplace, it's just tied to that. I've got games that are on there, and that's the end of that. And it's just on that system, and I can never do anything about that ever again. I've bought games that I've downloaded, and well, this is crap. This is kind of one step. It's between physical and digital. It's not either or. You can still download them like a digital, but the fact that I can move it around as if it's a physical game, but it's still involved. It still requires the download. I think it's actually quite an ingenious way to move forward. I don't know a lot about NFT or blockchain stuff. I really don't. So there may be stuff there that I need to, like, really look up on and understand a bit more about, and I'm going to try and make sure I do that for when I do my proper unboxing and opinion video. But I think this is quite a cool way of moving forward from digital. It reminded me of Limited Run. They did they do these kind of like these are attracting people that buy Limited Run stuff. You get a little coin inside and a card that technically doesn't do anything, you know, the lenticular card, I mean. But you just get it because you want to have it nice and you put it on your shelf, as opposed to downloading a £10 download. You pay double that to get all these little trinkety bits. But the fact that you can actually move that around, that's quite exciting to see the future of that. You know, I find that quite exciting. And Limited Run even released a Command & Conquer collector's set, and that didn't actually include a physical game, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was they released a Command & Conquer collector's set of over £100 odd, and the only thing it didn't have inside it was a game. You had to download it. It had like a code that you type in or something to that effect. And this is a step up from that issue. You know, I find the whole thing really interesting. Everything about this system leading up to its launch is so fascinating for me. as someone that's a retro gamer, that's into that makes videos about the history of video games, the fact that we're getting new versions of these old games, obviously it's perfect for me. But yeah, everything about the lineup for this system, and now this is, I'm rambling like crazy here, but I just find this so fascinating. It makes me even more excited for the system. And I know it's put a lot of people off. You've said that word NFT. Oh! It was like saying the word cloud gaming 5 or 10 years. Yeah, 5 or 10 years ago. Like, oh! Everyone freaks out about it. But I remember when people were going crazy, like, I'm never going to bloody stream my movies. I want my movies physically on DVD or Blu-ray.
Yeah, why is Xbox talking about all of this TV stuff? And then
yeah, but
people are,
it's crazy. Yeah, but I see this as the same sort of thing. It's potentially the future.
So I guess the biggest hang-up that people have about this being called a physical game product is that you're not actually getting the game on that card. You're getting a code which tells it to download the game. And I can see why people have a hang-up about that, because, let's be honest, nothing lasts forever. When we're talking about, say, we were talking about PlayStation 3 and Vita a couple of months ago, where the stores were being closed down. And once those stores are closed down, you're not downloading those games anymore. They're gone, you know, if you missed your chance. And my biggest fear, bearing in mind that the Amico, as you know, for all intents and purposes, I wish it well, regardless of whether I fully commit or not. I'm still very much on the fence, but I do have a pre-order down.
I do.
It's the big fear is that it could go badly. And therefore, those games that you have, you've got a nice on-the-shelf token, but in reality, you don't have the game. It's elsewhere. It's not downloadable. It's gone. That's the biggest fear I have. If there was some sort of assurance that these games will be around forever, and I'm hoping that link to the blockchain, if it is truly the blockchain or whether it's Amico's version of a blockchain as an NFT.
Yeah, I need to look into this a bit more. I don't 100% understand that sort of thing, but I need to look into that more.
Yeah.
The whole NFT blockchain stuff. Like, I've got friends that like live on that sort of thing, like trying to work out buying and selling and stuff, but I straight over my head. There's a few things you got to think about. Like, I remember when Sony announced the PlayStation 5 and you had a normal version and a disc-free version, and I went to my friends, oh my god, who's going to buy that disc-free version? And almost every single person that was in that WhatsApp group was like, I probably will. Like, I don't buy games physically anymore, I just don't. And I'm like, wow, okay. And then I actually spoke to a few people that were in different industries, I won't say in case I don't want to know, but they were like, oh yeah, I'm totally buying the digital version. I know people that have a Nintendo Switch and hardly have any games for it physically because they just like to download their games. Now, I'm not comparing this to a PlayStation 5. Of course I'm not. Of course I'm not. But if you put the Amico next to the PlayStation 5 and, you know, one system, the PlayStation 5, you can just download games and that's it. It's just attached to your account, PlayStation 5, and that is it. You can't sell those games. With this one, you have the choice of doing that exact same thing. You can still download the games and it's just attached to your Amico and that's it, you're done. But then you can also buy them physically still as a download, but then you can move those around. I think that's how is that not a step in the right direction? I don't know if it's the right direction, but like a step forward futuristically. I don't know if it's the right way to go or not, but I'm so happy it's happening on the Amico because it just makes this system even more weirder and even more intriguing.
Yeah, this is going to be like, no matter what happens, this is going to be one of those oddity systems that we will be talking about in the future. As you know, just like what happened with the Amico, or how did the Amico get so good? You know, that kind of thing. I'm looking forward to the potential of this thing. And also, can I just say the size of the thing? That is an absolute unit right next to those games there. But But lastly, this goes on to another thing, because another big thing about physical cartridges, or just physical media in general, is that they have some sort of protection against piracy. And I feel like, yeah, NFC tags, they're very easy to copy. You've got like Amiibo is the biggest example I can think of. It's just so happen it rhymes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that on an Android phone you can copy an Amiibo's NFC tag information and then use it on the Switch or the Wii U, and there's absolutely zero barriers between you and doing that. I'm wondering how long it's going to be until that starts happening if all of the games are NFC tag related. That's a bit concerning, more so for Tommy, I'd say.
It is. The comparison I would make there is the what's it called? The Evercade. Now, the Evercade, I'm sure, without even looking it up, I guarantee you can pirate that thing stupidly easy. But I almost don't know anyone that ever has, because the games are priced at the right point. They're like 15 to 20 quid games. 15, I think they're £15 games. And I think this sort of fits in that bracket. Like, yeah, you can pirate. Like, I'm sure. I don't know, actually. I'm not sure if there was a way that you could be able to pirate on the Amico as quickly as it comes out, which is a possibility. It's happening on. I mean, you can play Metroid Dread in 4K on an emulator right now, and that's a current gen system. You might be able to pirate on the Amico, but because the price point isn't expensive, they're like £10 downloads, or up to £10, because then he's going to make sure his games aren't too anything more than that, I believe he said. And these little physical cartridges are only $20, I think, roughly, or £15. I think that they fit in that same category as the Evercade. Why would you ever bother pirating when they're that cheap anyway?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's easy to say that from the point of view of someone who loves to buy games and physical media and supporting.
But I mean, I don't know anyone that's ever. I mean, I've never seen a video of anyone ever pirating an Evercade. I mean, I'm sure there are ones out there, but I've never seen one.
Yeah, I can see from a quick Google search that there is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's not as rampant as, like, when people worked out how to pirate on the Wii and the original Xbox and stuff like that, and it was like, on the Dreamcast, like everyone was doing it. Everyone saw that spinning reindeer on the Dreamcast. It was like everyone did it, but it's not so much of a thing nowadays. On these cheaper systems, from my understanding, at least.
Yeah. So that's my general thoughts. There is just that there's clearly some issues here, I feel. Mm-hmm. But I honestly don't think it is this horrible thing. And I know Tommy's been battling uphill ever since the Amico was first announced, and I don't say it's completely unfounded as to why. It's a brand new console. It's got a lot to prove. It's coming out into a market which half of it just doesn't get it, I would say, more so than doesn't want it.
Well, half the people that know about it don't get it.
Yeah.
The other 90% of the population don't even know it exists, unfortunately.
I will say it's difficult in a post-Ouya world to not feel a bit skeptical about something like this being announced, and post-Atari VCS as well, which is another great example of what not to do. I just hope for the best on this one.
I really do. I want this to be a success, and I think if anyone out there doesn't want it to be a success, then they're arseholes. I would love this to be a success, because I mean, I'm not the only person that wants to buy this. For me personally, it doesn't really matter, because it's got enough games on it from what I've seen. Even if Earthworm Jim turns out to be not great, and Echo the Dolphin turns out not to be great, you've still got that Moon Patrol game, which I think looks great. I mean, I rattled off loads of games before. That Breakout game is going to be great fun. There's at least 4 or 5 games on there that will make it worthwhile me to purchase this system, like, regardless on if it's a success or not. In my eyes, it's going to be a success, as long as there isn't issues with, like, lagging controllers or whatever else, and time will tell in that regard. But if it plays the way it's being shown off in the demonstrations, the few games that we have seen for it so far, that would be enough for me to be able to make it a worthwhile purchase, which may sound bonkers to someone, like, oh my god, you can get mobile phone games that are just as good. Like, okay, that's fair enough, but I think this actually looks really good. Those few games at least that make it, you know, worthwhile for me. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really got much else to say from that. I find this whole thing just it's so fascinating. It's so fascinating, everything about this.
I think it's still a case of, I mean, I think we say this every time we speak about the Amico. It is a case of let's wait and see. It's way too easy to make to give your opinions and, you know, call aside about whether it's going to be a success or a failure so early on. And you know, it doesn't matter which side of the coin you are, if which team you're on. Everyone seems very passionate when they talk about the Amico, and perhaps that is the strongest thing about it, is the fact that whether it's a good or a bad opinion, people will have opinions and they care. They're talking about it. They're engaging about it, and maybe that is the feather in Tommy Tallarico's cap. Either way, I hope it does well.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to actually seeing the hardware launch, because one last point I wanted to make about the Amico is that here in the UK, one of the things I noticed on their website is which retailers have selected the Amico for sale. And one of them is Argos, which is a massive UK retailer. They're the catalogue retailer, and probably the one that's netted the most income from video game revenue since, like, Game and what have you. They are very selective on stuff like this because they need to ensure it's going to sell. It shows that they have some sort of belief in this console.
Yeah.
And I feel like they would know if there was opportunity for failure. So take it with a pinch of salt there. But I believe that there is something here. And certainly Tommy Tallarico's passion it rubs off on you because, well, he can sell anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example. You said that about Argos. I just went there, typed in Atari. You can't pre-order an Atari VCS on their site. They are quite selective. I mean, obviously, yeah, you're going to get your big players on there. An Evercade, you can get one of them on there. You can pre-order an Amico. It's been on there for the longest time. But yeah, you're not going to be buying a Atari VCS or anything like that on there. Wow, the controllers are 60 quid. I suppose that makes sense for what's in them, but geez. Yeah. It's really fascinating.
To the US audience, for the Amico to be available in Argos for us is as if saying that Walmart had made the Amico available. So hopefully that gives you a sense of scale.
I believe they have, haven't they?
That's what I'm not sure actually. I haven't checked, but yeah, it's a big decision to make. It's got to do well, you know. There's no sale or return these days, so you know, there's a lot riding on this for it to be successful.
Indeed. I don't see that it is. An Amico welder. I don't know what an Amico welder is, but it's not an Intellivision Amico. You can buy one of them at Walmart. I'm so fascinated from this, and also a lot of it's from my YouTube mindset. Like I'm so interested in, like, I can see myself making a really good video about the whole history of this and the lineup of this, everything leading up to the launch, and I do see a future. If this fails, which I hope it doesn't, but I do see a future where people say, remember that flop, the Amico? Well, here's 10 games that you can't play anywhere else that were really, really good. Like, you know what I mean? Because I do see there being... I remember going home from Sheffield back to where we live down here in Kent, which is like a several-hour train journey, playing just Yoshi Touch and Go, which is the most basic game you can get on your DS. It's one little thing over and over and over, which I would play for 6 or 7 hours. But that is the kind of games that they seem to be wanting to put out for the Amico. Just these very, very basic arcadey type games. And there is a market for that. I am that market. I like that sort of thing. Astro Smash and all that sort of stuff. I'm not completely thrilled about spending $20 or $15 on billiards. You know, I mean, if that's even a thing that's going to be happening, I don't know. It might be one of the cheaper ones. I don't know.
Just show us that physical edition of Earthworm Jim whenever that comes, and we'll be happy.
Do you think there's going to be a lot of people out there that buy games for this system and don't own the system?
I think when it comes to Earthworm Jim, yeah.
And maybe some of the other ones that are like new versions.
Thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's a big brand. A lot of people love it, and you see the value of the second-hand market on existing Earthworm Jim games, and I get the impression that it's going to do well. Even if people don't buy the console, or maybe by that point we'll see a price reduction on the console. Who knows? It might have hit its stride at that point. I can totally see that being the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Who just said that? Chevmatic over in the chat says, predicting it now, Earthworm Jim will never be released. I hope that's not the case, but I just want to go along for the journey. I want to be part of it as it's going on, whether it's a failure or not, and I really hope it isn't. But the whole thing just sounds fascinating to me.
Yeah, I've certainly gambled on worse.
Yeah, I think so. Did you get the Spectrum next?
No, I didn't. No, I bought an Ouya. I've tried the Game Stick.
The Game Stick. Yeah. I got one of them. I bought it for a video. I didn't buy it back in the day. Yeah.
At least the Ouya had a nice big heavy case and that can really hold down A3s.
Can nicely. Have you tried plugging one in recently?
No, I haven't. I daren't try because it looks at me funny.
But that's the thing. Like everyone keeps comparing. We're really going on this and going around in circles. Yeah. We will end soon. But comparing this to the Ouya is a really, really bad judgment call because you look back at the Ouya. Like, what did it have to offer gameplay wise?
It was just an Android box, wasn't it?
Now, everyone, including myself, bought it because it would be an easy way to do emulation on your big screen. Like, there was a couple of games, but I don't think there was one game for it that was like any kind of exclusive. I think there was a Castle one, but that ended up coming out for the Steam anyway. Like at the same time when they realised it wasn't going to do well.
Was that Towerfall?
Towerfall, that was it. Yeah. I mean that instantly came out on everything else. So there's no reason to play on an Ouya unless you just want to use it for like
novelty.
Yeah, emulation or random things like that. There's no actual games to ever do on this. Already out of the gate, if these 8 games work from the get-go, that's 8 games that are I don't want to say the word, kind of exclusive. I know Fox and Forest I actually have for my Switch right back there, which is Phileas Fox or whatever it's called, Finnegan Fox. It's like a remake of that game. But yeah, it's interesting. We should probably move on from this topic because we can just keep chatting about this for ages.
Yeah. Wow. Always the Amico, isn't it? It's always the one that keeps us going.
Yeah. People will be cutting up this, aren't they? Using it in sound bites. But yeah, cheers everyone for that. That was good. Let's actually move on though. Let's move on a bit. I'm gonna let you talk about this one because man, did I not shut up about the Amico then.
So it is a birthday this year. Of course, we have been talking about 20 years of the Xbox. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to get you to talk because we're going to talk about some of our favourite memories and just in general how the Xbox evolved as a platform and whether it's still something you would consider to this day. Whether it's essential or just let's just talk about the Xbox for a bit. Yeah, I like the sound of that, don't you? Why don't we all talk about the Xbox? Yeah. So. For me, I think my first exposure to the Xbox was, of course, like most people, it was with Halo. I was very deeply entranced in the PS2 world at that point. I was still kind of behind as well. I was playing a lot of PS1 games. Hadn't really touched a GameCube at that point. But yeah, the Xbox just kind of existed in the background, and I never really understood where it had come from. But yeah, then Halo came out and it showed people like, wow, you can get these graphics on a console and hang on, what are these twin stick controls all about? You know, it's the first time those twin stick controls were actually done right. And I just remember like the whole thing about let's get the the console gaming going online
Oh yeah.
for the first time. And I know it wasn't the first time because, you know, I did have a brief foray into playing Quake 3 on the Dreamcast. But yeah, it was the first time it was done convincingly well. And hell, I wasn't getting any new Dreamcast games, so why not get an Xbox?
Yeah. I remember playing Halo. It might have been the first Xbox game I ever played. I wasn't a big first-person fan, but I remember seeing it and going, wow, this is pretty damn impressive. I played it in a shop. I remember there was this one shop that had opened up, and it was like a metallic floor, and they had a GameCube set up, an Xbox, and a PlayStation 2. I was a PlayStation 2 kid from the get-go, but I remember looking at this and being, wow, looking over at the GameCube, God, look at that kiddie controller, and that's not comfortable for anyone. How wrong I was. Yeah, like, it was very, very, very interesting. I mean, obviously, I eventually did get myself an Xbox. I think the thing that got me to buy one was when I saw how good Prince of Persia played on it, and I was like, I need this game. That was the game that made me buy it. And then as soon as I got that, I realized just how good the original Xbox was. Being able to put your own soundtracks onto the actual some of the games. I mean, I actually asked earlier on YouTube, can you give me some of your memories? And someone said I put my own soundtracks on when I played Tony Hawk's. I'm like, whoa, you don't turn off a Tony Hawk's soundtrack to put your own soundtracks on. What are you doing? Yeah, like, I remember doing that for some games. I think I did it for Cell Damage and a few others. But yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun playing those games. And I remember I was kind of going through a phase, and I think everyone was probably guilty of it back in the day, where games had to be polygon filled. Games had to be 3D. If it wasn't 3D, it wasn't good. You know, you was choosing that over 2D. I mean, I think it was that age, that mindset of that age at that time. But the Xbox, and more so the Xbox 360, really showed me that, wow, it got me back into like retro games via indie. I mean, I bought a 360 not off the back of seeing Forza Motorsport. I think it was Forza, wasn't it? The original one, and Cameo and things like that, and Perfect Dark. For me, it was after I saw Geometry Wars. And I was like, I need a 360. That blew me away. And that's what I take from Xbox, is reintroducing me to classic, smaller, indie, retro type games. And they just, some of my greatest memories from the Xbox era are playing games like that, playing games like those. The Splosion Man games, Braid, that game that came out before Inside, I'm forgetting what it was called, with the little kid walking around. Limbo, that was it, yeah. Games like that, those were the sort of things. Uno, like, I spent so long playing Uno.
Uno,
yeah.
The craziness of Uno, bearing in mind that was the first Xbox Live Vision game, and it had dubious results for the most part. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's some good times.
I remember seeing a lady flash while playing Uno, and I'm like, this is amazing. I was only like a teenager at the time, like, this is the best. You know, constantly playing Uno, getting hope in someone.
That, unfortunately.
I only ever saw one lady flash, but as a, I don't know how old I would have been, like 18, 19-year-old, I was like, this is the best thing ever. But anyway, yeah, like, even playing little games like Carcassonne and stuff like that, that was it just took me away from, I had AAA experiences. I remember having so much fun with what's it called, Burnout Paradise and stuff like that, but playing the smaller indie games, that's what I associate most with the 360. And I absolutely adored it for that. At the time, I played almost exclusively Xbox 360, but towards it was a long generation. It was like a 10-year generation, that was. But it was towards the last 3 or 4 years I got myself a PlayStation 3, and I think PlayStation 3 was where you went for the AAA exclusives. But for the online play and this is at least my experience, but for the online play and the good online experience of like downloading indie games and stuff like that, it was all about the 360 for me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I was very similar. Like my gaming pathway through the years has been quite eclectic, and you could say I'm not in any way, shape, or form like loyal to a particular brand. So I started off with the Mega Drive, I then went to the N64, and then ended up with the PlayStation, and therefore PlayStation 2. Moved on to Xbox 360, and then PS4, and then PS5 and Xbox Series right now.
Hmm.
So that's my main console progression. But I still, of course, had and played the other consoles as well. But when it comes to the Xbox 360, it holds a very special place in my heart
Yeah.
because it's the console in which I met a lot of my online friends. Um, and it's online friends. People laugh and joke. You're talking to strangers on like platform. They could be either 200 miles away or even longer, or just in general. It's there's a creepy aspect to all of this, but
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
in
yeah.
reality, I met a bunch of great guys who we've met in person several times. We just play games and have been doing so for years and years and years, and that's where the site that I write for. So people don't necessarily know about this one. But it's in the biography for the Slopescast, so I don't mind sharing it here. It's not a plug. It's PlayStation Country. It's built up of that same friendship group that we've created, and it's quite funny that we started off on Xbox 360 and then ended up on PlayStation. But the fondest memories will be the Xbox ones, because that's when everyone was playing the same games together. It was the console where the game Halo 3 came out, and everyone on your friends list was playing it. Games released. It was the last time we had like releases that felt like events.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, bear in mind it's the console. Like, if Halo 3 launched on Gears of War, Grand Theft Auto 5 launched on Xbox 360, which is another thing I think people are keen to forget. But yeah, it's signed the dynamic shift. It was the first time we got to play Street Fighter Online
Hmm.
against other people. It was crazy.
It,
The
it
kind of
was it
stuff
was
you could
mind
do.
blowing being able to play games like that. It
And
was
to me,
crazy.
yeah, to me, the Xbox 360 was the last time I felt like there was this massive technological shift in gaming that changed it for the better. I mean, in the 90s, you had all of this graphical horsepower. You had, you know, shifts in, technique and dynamics coming left, right, and center. And then it all kind of culminated in the 2000s, where you had three consoles which essentially did the same thing. And then the Xbox 360 came out 2005, and suddenly everyone was playing online. Everyone was like engaging with each other in a positive way, and not just in the your mum kind of way. I It's brilliant. It was a great console.
It really was. It really was. I specifically remember, and I remember this to this day, playing Burnout Paradise and chatting to this guy. And it was one of the first times I realised that there were people online that I can actually talk to about Sega history. And we just started rattling off all this stuff about, wasn't it a shame that Space Channel 5 Part 2 wasn't released for the Dreamcast? I was chatting about all this stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is so much more in-depth compared to when I chat to my friends about video game history, and it doesn't really go much further than Doki Doki Panic. Like, I'm really going in depth with this guy here, and we ended up chatting for hours whilst playing, and eventually we stopped playing the game together, where you get the two cars together and you do the task together. I just end up going around the whole city trying to find the barriers to knock down, because you had to knock them all down to eventually knock them all down, basically. Just reeling off and chatting to this guy, and just speaking to someone for like hours about Sega history, and I'm like, wow, this is so cool. This is so cool. But yeah, I've got some good memories, primarily of the original Xbox and Xbox 360.
Yeah.
One of my favourite games of all time is on the Xbox One, but it hardly ever gets turned on that system, unfortunately. And I don't even own an Xbox Series X. But, hey, it is what it is. Just to reel off a few here, we got Richard Smith over on YouTube says that one of his best memories was ripping CDs onto his hard drive. T. Wayne said that he had a lot of fun playing Halo Reach with friends online and the story mode. And also the game Enslaved will always be a hidden gem in his eyes. Did you ever play Enslaved?
Oh yeah, Enslaved was brilliant.
Yeah.
That was one of the Andy Serkis games, and I absolutely loved the whole Odyssey to the West thing.
Yeah.
That was going on in that. Also equally great, Heavenly Sword, but I know that's a PS3 game.
Yeah. That is a good game, actually. That is. We got people here saying my favourite memory remains even after all these years playing Halo for the first time and being blown away when emerging from the escape pod at the beginning of the second level. That game was incredible back then and remains so to this day. Steel Battalion trying to do a simple turn at speed and falling over. That was from Dan Hectic. Joey Wyatt, this is something that I haven't really brought up, but getting Shenmue 2 and Jet Set Radio. I mean, the Xbox is kind of the Dreamcast too. I mean, I know you had things like Monkey Ball and Sega dominating like the launch lineup of the GameCube, in my opinion, and a lot of critics' opinions as well. The best launch title for the GameCube was Monkey Ball, a Sega game. Yeah, take that, Nintendo. You may have won the battle, but you didn't win the war. But for the ones that were open arms to Sega when they decided to go as a publishing house rather than their own consoles was Xbox, and that's why you got some fantastic exclusives that if the Dreamcast was a better had done better, we would have seen things like Shenmue 2 done correctly, Jet Set Radio, Future, they had that Sega GT game, there was Toe Jam and L3, obviously Monkey Ball Deluxe as well. There's other ones.
The best version of Sonic Heroes next to the GameCube one, of course.
Oh yeah, definitely not the PlayStation version. Yeah, so yeah, Joey Wyatt said that there, and also DP's showing some love there for Jet Set Radio Future. I mean, wow, Keyam Drift. I wasn't expecting this one. I was very young when the first Xbox was out, but I have some fond memories of playing Shadow the Hedgehog, and that's when I stopped reading what he had to say. No, it's all good, Keyam. It's all good. Time Splitters Future was perfect, since it says the Internet Help Desk. Using the music feature from your burn CD, says Crazy Borg. My favourite Xbox memory was DJ Slope reading this comment live on SLOPESCAST, says Ellie. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Xbox LANing. I actually had some, went around a few friends' houses playing, I think it was Halo 3 via LAN, throwing a LAN lead out the window from the top part of the house and then playing some in the living room and in the bedroom, doing little teams on Halo 3. I'm not a first-person fan, but that was good fun for the few nights that we did that. Yeah.
Big team battle on Halo 3 was great fun, especially in the sand trap level and just messing around with the elephant tanks, trying to flip them over. Just generally just dossing about, playing games online and just having a good time. It's just, brilliant.
Absolutely.
I wish I could go back to it sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. The Forza Motorsport game, says Chad P. Halo 1 and 2. There's a lot of people loving Halo 1 and 2. And a game called Death Row. I used to love that game. No one ever talks about it much. Oh, and I also love playing Splinter Cell 1, 2, 3, Jet Set Radio Future. I mean, it's excellent. Sixth generation, the last great console generation, says Enemy of Freedom. I think that's a good way to end it.
I agree completely. I feel like, because all of the things we've described are things that could absolutely happen still.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, the Xbox 360, the sixth generation of hardware, is the last time it actually felt like you could actually, spend time. That's probably because we're all becoming adults. We're, getting crotchety and don't have time for this anymore. But, I can't help but look back fondly and just think, right, okay, yeah, this was the good stuff.
Yeah, John Rogers says Fable. I just can't believe we haven't said Fable until now. Fable was the reason he got an Xbox. And I can't believe I didn't say this. iQuell shouted out Outrun 2. Yeah. Oh, what a game. I've got that behind me. I think that's becoming a bit of an expensive game now to get, I believe.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Oh, mate, Outrun 2. So much time spent on that. And then the download version on the 360 as well. Being able to play Outrun online. I was dominant on that. I really was. But yeah, good memories. Like I say, I'm not as much of a fan of the later way they're doing things because I'm too retro, I think. But yeah, I mean, I've got great memories of Xbox and Xbox 360. Major great memories. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Now, over to this one, and this was what I thought we was going into before I remembered about the Xbox. Talk to us about the new, recently discovered, not new, Nokia NGage QD sequel prototype.
Yes, so this has wormed its way into someone's collection. So the Nokia NGage, for people who don't know, was Nokia's first foray into the gaming market. They bear in mind that Nokia was the mobile phone manufacturer in the early 2000s, late 90s. And yeah, they wanted to create something a bit different. So they created this thing that looks vaguely like a taco. And it just was not a good phone at all.
It was no. I never owned one. I remember seeing them, and I had a little play in the shop, and I've played it. People have it. I not good.
Well, the issue that you had, of course, is that the games came on little SD cards, or very similar to SD cards. And the problem is that to be able to play them, you had to remove the SIM card from your phone.
Not just the battery.
Yeah. The SIM card. So, yeah, that kind of makes it kind of rubbish as a phone. So you're playing your copy of Tomb Raider on this like horrible little dot matrix like color screen, and you don't know if those graduation results are coming through or not. It's a bit silly. But what I will say is that it was a fantastic little experiment. It actually had its own it had a great little library of exclusive games, including a version of Tomb Raider for itself, an Elder Scrolls title. Yeah, it's got its own Bethesda-based Elder Scrolls game.
Sonic Advance was on it, wasn't it? Or Sonic NGage, sorry, not Advance.
Sonic N, yeah. Yeah, I've got a copy of that.
Have you actually?
Yeah, I do.
Right.
I'll never play it again because it plays awful. But yeah, and it has, as I say, it had like the likes of Tomb Raider. There was some big stuff on there. Tony Hawk's, I believe, was going to come out for it at some point.
Yeah, I've seen video of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so the NGage had stuff going for it, and people loved the Nokia brand. So there was a bit of uptake. But yeah, this has found its way into the collection of someone, and essentially it's an updated version of the QD, which is the second NGage model, which is the one you see pictured on the screen. And all it really is that they added a USB port, a camera. So can you think like when these things were just not standard?
Yeah.
And it
pretty low.
It runs an upgraded version of its original operating system called Symbian and a slightly faster CPU than the original. A typical S-style upgrade to a mobile phone. But again, it's hardware making it into the hands of the public. I love seeing that because, well, gaming hardware is kind of the thing I absolutely love, even if it is horrible stuff like the NGage or the Gizmondo. Yeah, it's just a great little ad. This in the next couple of weeks, we're expecting to hear some more news about it, like how he managed to get the thing. The German manufacturer, the guy who designed the PCB, is actually going to open up and say a few words about this as well. So I'm very curious to see what comes out as a result.
Yep.
I think this is going to be like some cool news that's incoming. And
we'll probably be covering it. We'll probably be covering it here, guys. So if you want, can make sure you're subscribed for all your up-to-date NGage.
Because I've got to say it, like, when this first came out, people thought this was a pretty bad idea. A gaming phone, right? To some people like me who go, oh yeah, I kind of want one. That'd be a nice novelty. I love the idea of playing video games on my phone and proper games like Tomb Raider, and you don't realize what you should really be thinking about and being appreciative of, but until you see it in action. And I did own one of these.
I didn't. I didn't.
Just going to be clear on that. I did own one of these.
You
And
shill!
I used it as my daily driver. But
Wow.
think about how far ahead of the time it was. People play games on their phones all the time. It's almost as if Nokia turned around to people and go, "You'll all be doing it someday." And now look at us. We all have a very powerful calculator in our pocket that can do like 10 times the stuff that the NGage could. The NGage walked so we could run today. So I just wanted to put that out there as well.
Definitely. I mean, I haven't got anything else to add to this. I didn't have this one back in the day, but it's an NGage. It's a little bit better than the rubbish one.
It's not a Gamecom. At least it's got that going for it.
No, and there's a system I own a game for and don't own the system. I own Sonic Jam for the Gamecom. But yeah. So firstly, massive shout out to Charlie Ward there. Thank you very much for the donation, mate. Hi Daniel, long time no see. Have you played any of the new Sonic hacking contest stuff? No, I haven't. Maybe we'll do that for this Thursday stream. Stick around for that. And also, MEK has raided. Thank you, MEK. Thank you. And thank you to Man Shovel and subscribing there as well. Really appreciate all your support, guys. Much love. Now, let's move into the final topic, shall we? Let's get into some Sega stuff. Sega! Hidden Sega Saturn emulator found inside Cotton Guardian Force Saturn Tribute on the Switch. So what people have been able to do is remove the the image, the ISO image of the Cotton game, and put in other games, and it works. So you can play Switch game, Saturn games on your Switch. Now, from what I'm understanding in reviews, the lag on this particular game is not the best, and for a shmuppy type game, if you want to call Cotton a shmup, or a cute 'em up, I think it's probably better. You kind of need almost no lag. I think there's up to 12 frames of lag, which is pretty extreme for a game like this. But hey, if you're using that to play Panzer Dragoon Saga, then you're probably going to be all right. Plus, it's probably going to save you a few bob if you play Cotton or Panzer Dragoon, because they're both very, very expensive games. Quite interesting, though. Don't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I'm looking at the list of games that is supposedly that. So the person who's gone in, GPA temp user Lisa Real 2301. Of course, this is going to take some sort of jiggery pokery in terms of like being able to like hack the Switch. So it's not something we'd recommend doing, you know, for the sake of a good Saturn emulator. But the things they've tried on there is that they're saying that this, you know, these games run perfect. These ones are almost perfect. These are unplayable. So
yeah,
just to reel off a few that really stand out to me. It's like Burning Rangers runs almost perfect on this emulator.
Ah, how good does that sound?
I don't believe that there are many emulators for the Saturn that can run Burning Rangers well. I mean, I know you need a good piece of hardware, but what you think about the potential if they can just, you know, release these games onto the Switch as, you know, a Saturn thing, now's the time. There's other games such as Die Hard Arcade coming out on Switch, hopefully. Guardian Heroes, which was recently re-released on the Xbox Live Marketplace. And bear in mind that Saturn games master data is very difficult to find. And Guardian Heroes was rebuilt from the ground up to be able to make it playable for the Xbox 360.
That's nuts.
So when you consider that there is now an emulator that can play the original game perfectly, they'd probably be a bit sore about that, I think.
I reckon so, yeah.
Chaos Flying Squadron comes in. Nights into Dreams runs almost perfect. But, you know, just give me some Christmas Nights action. Panzer Dragoon Saga is mentioned. Panzer Dragoon, Power Slave, Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic R. Yes. Yes.
As long as the soundtrack works okay, then I'm good.
I can feel the sunshine. And then Virtual On is another one that gets mentioned in here. So there's a lot of games that work perfectly with this emulator. It's just funny. that the game that they actually released doesn't run so perfect.
Yeah,
because it's laggy.
Hopefully it gets sorted. I mean, I might have this on pre-order, actually. I believe I do, because I've got the other Cotton game already for the Switch, and I remember playing through it, and if that plays like this one, then I actually didn't see any issues. I'm just going from what other people have said. I mean, it's just really exciting. I really do see the future of the Switch on the hacking side of things as being a system that you're going to want to have constantly plugged in for the rest of your life. It's going to be such a great system to be able to play around with. It really is. It's exciting stuff.
And then it's not just the Switch that is getting some Saturn love. I just wanted to bring this in. So this was added into our news thread that we have on Discord, where people can suggest news topics for the SLOPESCAST.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that came up about a week ago from Mike Towns was that the Mr. FPGA project, which is like an open source, very cycle accurate emulation device that can play games from hardware and essentially mimic the hardware as opposed to just being based on software. Very difficult to go into the full story now. But if you want to look into something, look up Retro Man Cave's recent Mr.
Oh, go check it out.
Yeah. There are currently 2 cores being created, one of which is for the Sega Saturn and the PS1. But the Sega Saturn in particular is very exciting because, as we mentioned before, Saturn emulation is very difficult to do.
Very.
It's taken people up until the GTX 1070 era to be able to get it to work.
It's nuts.
It's because of the way the chips are laid out. Again, not something I really want to get into detail because there's going to be someone in here who tells me I'm wrong about a particular thing. Anywho, basically we're going to get perfect emulation for the Sega Saturn soon, and I absolutely cannot wait because it is one of the most underrated systems out there.
It really is.
So many good games on that machine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, keep an eye out because it's going to get good soon.
Gonna get good. There we go. And guys, I think we're at the end of the podcast. That was a long one. It was that Amico chat, wasn't it? It was that Amico chat that we got held up on, but I just find it so interesting. But
yes.
yeah. Saturn. Oh, mate. I'm saying that the Switch is going to be the best place for this sort of stuff, but I mean, I do have a Steam Deck coming as well. So that might be better.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, this is nothing but good news. For us, probably not so much for them. The people actually releasing it. We should have locked this out a little bit more. But yeah, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But thank you all so much for
the emulator.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks everyone for hanging out tonight. I think we covered some nice stuff, and I don't know if he's watching now or in the future, but everyone say hello to Tommy Tallarico because I imagine he's going to listen in on this.
Hey Tommy, what's going on?
Yeah. Thanks for the games. I'm excited to do the unboxing. I'm excited for you to hear what everyone in the UK thinks about them. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. Right. Much love, everyone. Yeah, let's roll that outro. Catch y'all later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to SLOPESCAST, the retro gaming news show with myself, DJ Slope, and my co-host, Grizzly Crichton, recorded live on Twitch every single Tuesday night. If you want to listen in live, then make your way over to twitch.tv/Slopes Game Room at 9 PM UK time, 1 PM Pacific Standard Time, and 4 PM Eastern Standard Time. And as stated, if you want to be in a chance to be on a future episode, then please do consider supporting the show on Patreon or as a YouTube member. And finally, if you do have any news stories for us, then please do feel free to drop them in the dedicated rooms over on Discord at discord.gg/Slopes Game Room. And until next time, guys, this is DJ Slope signing out, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.